What's going on, guys? Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll himself, was born on January the 8th, 1935. So we're continuing our month-long celebration, all month long from the Pop Complex, celebrating Elvis's birth month by unboxing the McFarlane Elvis Presley figures, all 6 of them. And today is no exception. Today we have the Elvis Presley Blue Hawaii action figure from McFarlane Toys. So my name is Matt, and this is the Pop Complex. Guys, welcome back to the Pop Complex. Again, we're celebrating all month long, the month of January, the birth month of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll himself. So we're unboxing all 6 of the McFarlane Elvis figures. And here we have today the Elvis Blue Hawaii action figure. So this does recreate Elvis's iconic appearance in his 8th feature film, Blue Hawaii, from 1961. So you can see he does have the classic Hawaiian shirt and the white khaki pants. He has his Hawaiian lei around his neck. And you can see he does have a ukulele there in his hand as well. And you can see the backdrop back there. It's the sand of the beach, and there's a surfboard and a backdrop, and there's a picture of what it looks like assembled. But don't worry, guys, we're going to take a close look at that once we get it out of the package. And here we have some artwork, the Blue Hawaii Elvis logo here, and a photo of the figure itself out of the packaging. Again, this is a signature Elvis product. You can see the holographic sticker. This is officially licensed by the Elvis Presley estate and manufactured by McFarlane Toys. So we'll flip it around to the side, and we have the same artwork, the same photo of the figure. We'll flip it around here on the back, and we do have the the legal information, elvis.com, Blue Hawaii, several different angle shots of the figure out of the package, and you guys can pause and read that right there, hear about the film and the action figure itself. Again, this was Elvis Presley's 8th film, and it was released in 1961, Blue Hawaii. And also, it's worthy to note that the soundtrack for the film became Elvis's 6th best-selling album of all time. So I'll put a picture of that up on the screen as well, guys. So flip Elvis back around, and once again, there he is from Blue Hawaii. Stay tuned, guys. We're going to get Elvis out of the package. All right, guys, and we're back with the McFarlane Elvis Blue Hawaii figure out of the packaging. And first, I wanted to show you guys the stand before we get Elvis on it in place. So the stand here is like a block of a beach. It's a cutout section of a sandy beach with some grass here in the front. As you tilt it up a little bit, it has this giant surfboard here on it, guys. But if you tilt it up, get a closer look, you can really see the detail and the ripples of the sand. And here we have the peg holes and footprints for Elvis to be mounted in those pegs. The front of this looks like a Hawaiian style carving, Elvis's name with some Hawaiian style flowers carved out here on the front of this base. And the surfboard is absolutely enormous. It's actually in scale with the Elvis figure. So this is like a full-size scale surfboard. It did come separate, so it had to be mounted into the stand here as well. And there was some assembly for this stand as well. It came in the 3 sections here: the cardboard backdrop, the surfboard, and the actual stand itself. But we can see we have the Blue Hawaii logo here and a beach backdrop. And so if we flip it around to the back, you can see that it is just a plain cardboard cardstock backdrop, and it is bolted in right here with these little plastic, they're not screws, they're like little pop-in, snap-in bolts that it did come with. So there's the stand, a good look at that, and it is hollow there on the bottom. So now we will bring Elvis in and get him positioned on the stand, and we'll take a closer look at the Elvis figure. Now, he is like the other Elvis figures in the McFarlane line. He is pre-posed in this pose, which makes these figures a little bit more like mini statues rather than action figures, because there's not a whole lot of action going on and there's not a whole lot of articulation. It's more about the detail of these figures and getting the likeness correct. And again, like I've stated in my other videos where I unboxed the other McFarlane Elvis figures in the late 90s and early 2000s, McFarlane was the name for making these super detailed action figures of movie characters that we didn't normally get by other toy companies, and music figures like rock and roll icons such as Elvis himself here. So we'll take a closer look. You can see the detail in his Hawaiian shirt, even down to the sub pattern here. We see the flowers against the red, but there's actually a sub pattern underneath that, and the actual crinkles and ripples in the shirt, the creases, they look very good. Flip him around to the back. You can see the back of the shirt and his white khaki pants. You can see these enormous pegs here look a little bit weird, but it'll look a whole lot better when we get him pegged into the stand. We'll take a closer look at the likeness on Elvis. Now, he is in a singing pose, so his mouth is partially open. I think he looks a little bit more odd from like this angle. If you look at him, his face straight on rather than from the side, he looks a lot better there from the side, which, the figure is intended to be posed like this, but we could tilt him, I guess, a little bit toward an angle when we actually display the figure. But the ukulele, there's a ukulele in his hand, and it is sculpted separately. So this is not molded into his hand. It's a separate piece, but it is securely fastened in his hand, so it will never leave his hand because his hand is sculpted completely around the ukulele, but it is a separate piece. And so we can see the super detail there on the ukulele. And if we look at the articulation that Elvis does have, you can see there's a cut right there on his neck where it looks like there would be some head articulation, some neck articulation, but it's there, but you can't really get any articulation out of it because this shirt is sculpted in a way it prevents his head from turning from side to side. So I'm not sure why that they even really bothered to add that in there, but based on the sculpt of the figure, his head is not really moving in any direction from side to side. Now, his arms here at the shoulders are articulated, so his arm can go up and down, forward and back like this at the shoulder. But this pose, it was sculpted to be in this particular pose, so I'm not really sure why you would want it posed any other way but this way. And based on the sculpt of the shirt, it does look a little bit weird, see, when you do move it up or down. So for the sake of the pose and the aesthetics of this figure, I'm going to leave it just like that, how it was intended to be, and this arm as well. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a cut there. I'm going to move it forward just a little bit to hide that awkward looking shoulder joint. So just like that. And he does have some wrist articulation on both hands, so you can get some swivel. It should be at full 360 degrees. But even if you tilt it just a little bit, there's some weird overlap going on there. So I'm going to kind of leave it where it looks the most natural, about right there. And he does have a swivel also on his other wrist there. Now, there is no leg articulation at all, but that's not anything that's not uncommon with the other Elvis figures I've unboxed and reviewed, since he is, pre-posed to, pay tribute to the scene in the movie Blue Hawaii that he's from. I can understand that, and with it being pegged into the stand, it's like a statue. There is a little bit of a waist cut there, or waist swivel, but again, I don't know why that they really even bothered, because the way that this is sculpted, it prohibits it from going any further than that, so not really needed. The articulation in this figure, I gotta say, is pretty much useless that's there. The wrists, maybe, if you wanted to get a different angle, but I don't really see why you would. He's already posed, I think, ideally for this scene and for this figure, so I'm not really sure why there was any articulation really included at all. So good likeness, decent likeness. I have to admit, this is probably maybe what I thought was my least favorite out of the 6 McFarlane Elvis figures. But I will admit, getting him out of the package and taking a closer look at him, I I really like this a lot better now out of the package, where I can see it better and see the detail rather than keeping him in the package. And this stand is just really awesome. I really love that surfboard. It looks like a real surfboard. It has that glossy, waxy look like a real surfboard would have. So let's get Elvis pegged into the stand here. All right, and now we have Elvis pegged into the stand that he does come with. And before we take some measurements, I almost forgot this very important accessory that's sculpted loose, but the Hawaiian lei that Elvis was wearing in the package. So there we go. Now that completes the look of Blue Hawaii Elvis, so didn't want to forget about that. So let's break out the old tape measure and take a closer look at the actual height of this figure. So if we look at the tape measure here and go from the very bottom of the stand or the base to the very tip top of the surfboard, it looks like he's coming in right at 9.5 inches in height. And if we look at the bottom of the stand all the way up to Elvis himself, it looks like he's coming in right about 7.75 inches. And then without the stand, just the height of Elvis himself, he seems to be coming in right at about 6.5 inches just for Elvis himself without the stand. So guys, that was a look at the Blue Hawaii McFarlane Elvis Presley figure. So let me know what you guys think, and please, if you have not, check out my other Elvis videos where I have unboxed the other McFarlane Elvis figures up to this point. I have done the 1954 Elvis, the 1956 Year in Gold Elvis, and the 1957 Jailhouse Rock Elvis. And we are adding the Blue Hawaii Elvis to this collection. There's 2 more guys to go, and all month long, again, celebrating the King of Rock and Roll's birth month, all month long, we're unboxing all 6 of the McFarlane Elvis figures. So let me know what you guys think in the comments of this figure. And please, if you would, if you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, guys, what are you waiting for? Please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out. If you have any toy collecting friends, Elvis friends, you know would enjoy this video, please share it out and help out the channel. And you can also support the channel by going to patreon.com/thepopcomplex. Links to everything and my other Elvis videos will also be in the description. Thanks guys, and have a nice Hawaiian day.